While some nautical disasters such as the sinking of the Titanic have captured the popular imagination, others, some of which involved a significantly greater loss of life, have remained relatively unknown. Lusitania. Perhaps the highest-profile casualty of Germany's policy of unrestricted submarine warfare during World War I, the RMS Lusitania was attacked by a German U-boat on May 7, 1915, and sank in just 18 minutes. The ship was regarded as a legitimate target by the Germans, as they believed that it was being used to transport war materiel. Evidence has since emerged that the Lusitania was, in fact, carrying more than 170 tons of artillery shells and ammunition at the time of its sinking. Nevertheless, the loss of 1,198 passengers, including 128 Americans, would eventually serve as casus belli for U.S. involvement in World War I. Doña Paz. Maritime traffic has played a vital role in the growth and development of Southeast Asia, and ferries transport hundreds of millions of people throughout the region each year. Accidents have been far too common an occurrence, however. In the 21st century alone, international regulatory agencies documented some 17,000 fatalities as a result of ferry sinkings in Southeast Asian waters. The worst such accident, indeed, the deadliest civilian maritime disaster in history, occurred on December 20, 1987, when the passenger ferry MV Doña Paz collided with the oil tanker Mount Vector in the Tablas Strait, roughly 110 miles, 180 kilometers, south of Manila. Eager to reach their destinations prior to the Christmas holiday, an estimated 4,300 people, more than double the ship's official capacity, had crowded onto the Doña Paz prior to its departure from Tacloban, Philippines. At the time of the collision, no senior officers were on the bridge of the Doña Paz. The Vector was traveling without a lookout, and it is likely that both ships lacked a functioning radio. Despite clear visibility and relatively calm seas, neither ship gave any indication that it was aware of the other. The collision ignited the 8,800 barrels of oil and gasoline on the Vector, and both ships were quickly engulfed in the blaze. Of the more than 4,400 passengers and crew on both ships, just 26 people were rescued from the oil-slipped waters. Wilhelm Gustloff. The MV Wilhelm Gustloff was the pride of the Nazi Kraft durch Freude, Strength Through Joy, program, which provided leisure activities for German workers and served as an important propaganda tool for the Third Reich. The ocean liner carried holidaymakers on cruises of the North Atlantic and the Mediterranean, and, with the outbreak of World War II in 1939, it was converted into a hospital ship. It later served as a floating barracks and, in the closing months of the war, was called upon to evacuate German troops and civilians from East Prussia ahead of advancing Soviet armies. By that time, in accordance with the laws of war, the Wilhelm Gustloff had shed the white paint and red crosses that had marked it as a non-combatant, and the presence of troops on board and anti-aircraft guns on deck made the ship a viable military target. Refugees streamed into the port of Godenhofen, now Gdynia, Poland, in the hopes of escape, and thousands crowded onto the Gustloff. Built to accommodate 1,900 people, the ship left port on January 30, 1945, carrying an estimated 10,000. Just after 9 p.m. that evening, 3 torpedoes fired by a Soviet submarine slammed into the port side of the Gustloff. Ice had rendered many of the ship's lifeboats inoperable, and the crew members best trained to deal with an evacuation had been killed in the torpedo attack or were trapped below deck. The Gustloff slipped below the frigid Baltic waves just over an hour later. Although rescue efforts began within minutes of the ship's initial SOS call, only 1,200 people could be saved. The sinking claimed 9,000 lives, making it history's deadliest shipwreck.